Welcome everyone to the January 20th regular session meeting. I want to welcome everybody and taking the time to show up, and especially our Girl Scout troop in attendance today. We're going to get started by announcing a quorum. Madam Secretary, a quorum is present?
Yes.
Very good. Move on to invocation and pledge, led by the Jeremy E. Ray Legion Post 324 chaplain, and the pledge by Stephanie Otto, commander of the Jeremy E. Ray American Legion Post 324.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Guide our hearts and our mind in the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance today. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We're going to move on to presentations. First presentation we have is for the presentation of Police Department Employee of the Fourth Quarter and the 2019 Employee of the Year Award by Stephanie Otto, commander of the Jeremy E. Ray American Legion Post 324.
Thank you. Each quarter, the American Legion Post 324, Jersey Village Department of Texas Employee of the Quarter Selection Committee meet to review a list of candidates selected by their peers. This is in no way a simple task, as all employees of the department are outstanding individuals that serve a purpose greater than themselves. For the fourth quarter of 2019, the American Legion Selection of the Quarter is Officer Jason Coble. Officer Coble has shown a high level of professionalism, dedication, and productivity. He loves his job, and his work performance shows it. We thank you for your service and dedication to this department and our community. All of these attributes work together to ensure that Jersey Village Police Department works smoothly and provides our residents peace of mind and makes Jersey Village a destination community. Other officers nominated this quarter were Officer Bryant and Officer Guzman. Thank you, gentlemen, for your continued performance and dedication to our community. Throughout the year, this committee receives countless nominations from within the Jersey Village Police Department in which our fellow officers highlight their peers for many reasons. Each quarter we convene and nominate great nominations, and it's truly humbling to read and discuss each of them. All of the employees of the Jersey Village Police Department serve a position that comes with so much weight, and our utmost respect and appreciation is extended to them as a whole. Employee of the Year is a selection from the 4 Employee of the Quarters for that year. With this nomination, we consider each position served, each performance of that position, and the impact made by that employee within the department, the city, and ultimately the residents and businesses within the community. With that said, the American Legion JVPD Employee of the Selection for 2020 is Officer Dusty Bryant. Thank you for all your support for the department and our city.
Mayor and councilors, at this point in time, I'd like to make a presentation for the January 2020 Employee of the Month, who is Officer Dusty Bryant. Would you like to come up here? All right, Officer Bryant has been a member of the Jersey Village Police Department since January of 2018. He leads by examples and is one of our most utilized field training officers. Officer Bryant always asks if there's anything else he can do and is always very active in the community. Not only is he a great field training officer and an exception patrol officer, but his above and beyond work ethic sets an example for other staff and inspires the excellence we admire. It's not uncommon for Officer Bryant to stop and play some football with kids as well, and I've heard that he's got a pretty good arm when it comes to tossing the football. Just this weekend, Officer Bryant made a major arrest during a routine traffic stop, recovering stolen property and clearing out multiple cases throughout the area. Officer Bryant's committed to our community as well. In November of 2019, he found a less fortunate family that needed help this holiday season. After contacting a local school, he discovered that there was a family with 3 young children who lost their father. Officer Bryant took it upon himself to start a charitable campaign for the family. His own family donated clothing items, and he raised food donations from Kroger's, Adriatic, and Chick-fil-A, raised cash donations from Joe Myers Toyota and Joe Myers Mazda, as well as donations from the Jersey Village Police Department. Overall, he raised more than $2,200. His hard work and dedication have been noted by department leadership and his colleagues. I'm confident Officer Bryant's work ethic and charitable spirit will inspire others to follow in his footsteps. His efforts represent outstanding personal character and are a true asset to the police department and our city. Officer Bryant, thank you for what you do and for what you've done for that family and for our community as a whole.
Thank you very much, and congratulations. It's great to have you all on our side, on our team. We're going to move on to citizen comments. Any person who desires to address City Council regarding an item on the agenda will be heard at this time in compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act. Unless the subject matter of the comment is on the agenda, the city staff and city council members are not allowed to discuss the subject. Each person is limited to 5 minutes for comments to the City Council. First card I have is Mark Malloy.
So is that the only card? I asked to be the last one to speak.
That's okay. You forfeited your.
No, I did not. I told the city secretary that
Do
I
you,
wanted to be the last.
sir, do you run the meeting or do I run the meeting?
Oh, God, you run everything.
Now we're.
Okay, my name's Mark Malloy. I live at 7803 Hamilton Circle, past city council member of the city of Jersey Village, Texas. Citizens' comments for 01/20/2020. Please make my verbal comments and documents given to the city secretary a permanent record of this meeting. I'm here tonight to talk about the money that's been accumulated by the city government, and now they're going to spend that money without allowing the taxpayers to make the decision on if the citizens want the money to be spent on what the city government is going to spend it on. So anyway, basically, what I'm going to talk about is what the city government is telling you about their upcoming estimated $17.5 million spending spree. The city of Jersey Village, Texas city government bypassing taxpayers' ability to make decisions on large tax revenue expenditures. The way the city of Jersey Village, Texas is able to fund the construction of a new city hall for an estimated $8 million, pay for a treated wastewater supplemental golf course irrigation project estimated to cost over $1 million, build a new golf course clubhouse convention center for $2.4 million, build a new public works facility for an estimated $1.5 million, purchase an estimated 23.4 acre piece of raw undeveloped land for an estimated $5.25 million, and purchase another estimated 10 acres of land in the same area for an estimated $2.95 million, which is a total of $21.1 million in the near future without getting the approval of the Jersey Village citizens, is because over many years the appraisal values of their properties within the city's taxing jurisdiction have significantly increased, allowing the city government to receive larger and larger amounts of property tax revenue without raising the property tax rate. For many years, the proposed tax rate has been higher than the actual rate needed to operate the city. The city government in the early 2000s had the intention to build a new city hall facility do a renovation to the fire department building, and do the first round of residential streets and utility replacements such as street lights, water lines, and sewer lines, as well as storm drainage upgrades. And from what I understand, we're going to lump all projects under one bond referendum. Citizens that wanted the projects separated into separate projects that could be voted on by the registered voters had to go house to house to get a petition signed by the citizens to present to their city government to allow each project to be voted on for or against during an election. The voters approved the first street and utilities replacement project and the renovation to the fire department facility, but did not approve the new city hall project. The city government completed the citizens' approved projects, but had a large amount of money left over from the residential street utility replacement project. What do you think happened to the remaining money? The money was held until the city worked to get an agreement with Harris County to do the Jones Road extension from US 290 to FM 529. The city government spent the remaining residential street and utility replacement money on what was required, such as utilities and storm drainage for the Harris County to fund the construction of the concrete roadway. I questioned the city manager at that time and the city government why they thought it appropriate to spend money that was voted on by the taxpayers for a specific purpose be held for several years and then used on a project the citizens were not allowed to vote for or against. The city said the way the bond was written, we can spend the money on the Jones Road extension. The city government on October 17, 2007 decided to create an unassigned facilities replacement fund to accumulate revenue to be able to do projects that would allow decisions to be made to fund projects without asking the citizens if they wanted the projects to be done. The city government has chosen to set the homestead exemption rate at 8% for many years, and just last year increased it to 14% instead of the maximum state of Texas allowed 20% for the citizens that live in the city of Jersey Village, Texas, which has allowed them to receive additional revenue. They've also chosen to have the 65-year and older exemption set at $50,000 for many years, but just last year raised it to $75,000, which is basically...
That's your time, Mark. That's 5 minutes. Thank you. Next card I have is Mary Lee Beasley.
Could you give me just a moment? I had hip replacement surgery in November. It takes me just a little longer to get where I need to go. So would you hold on just a moment? Because I got some really unusual emails from some people.
That's fine.
Okay, just give me a moment.
Okay.
Because, would you make sure that everybody gets a copy of this up there, please? It's this, and then, yes. No, you're gonna be videotaping. Thank you. Make sure that everybody gets those memos. Okay, thank you. I'm actually pretty close to recovering. Okay, so if you'll give me a moment. I got some very strange.
Please step up to the mic. Your time has started.
Oh, hold on, just a moment, please.
You're
Give me a moment.
Ma'am.
Mayor Andrew, I am a citizen. Hold on. Now I'm going.
Ma'am, if you don't calm down, I will have you removed.
Okay, Andrew.
Yes,
wait a
please
moment.
proceed. Your time has started.
Hello. Okay, please hand out all the memos. Okay, now I got some very strange emails from people. 2 people. I think one was an officer of Jersey Village. I'm not going to read a sensitive memo that's in regards to Mr. Singleton. I'm going to let you guys read it yourself. I'm going to read this one from Eric Forrester to Austin Blease. Austin, I am sure you are aware of my frustration with Councilman James Singleton and the actions he took on Friday, 9/13/2019, as per our phone call on the same day. I believe that this impromptu request clearly undermines the city charter as shown below. Interference in administrative or personal matters. According to section 208, neither the council nor any of its members shall instruct or request the city manager or any of the city manager's subordinates to appoint to or remove from office or employment in any person, except for the purpose of an investigation under section 2.07 of this charter obtaining information. I'm going to skip ahead. I firmly believe that the charter prevents, or at least should inhibit, the ability of the council to get caught up in small-town politics that often mire cities our size. These incidents can paralyze an entire workforce out of fear of reprisal. In this case, Councilman Singleton appears to have motives that are dubious at best. One could infer that he is looking for adverse information about me or the way the department is run. Others may speculate, since Sergeant Keel is the one who sent Corporal Zetkin's use of force up for review, that he may be trying to pressure Sergeant Keel by calling him directly and making inquiries as to the complaint or actions about the event. In either case, I find this to be an ethical nightmare. There are now rumblings that Zatkins has blackmailed Councilman Singleton with the attached memorandum and is using that to get his position back. Not to mention that this is a clear case of staff splitting, which undermines the entire rank structure of the city and toxifies our working environment. This action also makes for a very awkward working environment for Sergeant Keel and may now cause trepidation upon finding other issues that may require reporting. Sergeant Keel did an outstanding job at utilizing our use of force reporting system, and it worked as designed. A specific incident was referred for further review as part of our early warning system. Use of force issues should be dealt with swiftly and efficiently, and we need to be held accountable for our actions while also reviewing and supporting our staff who do good work. Given Singleton's history here with the police department, I find that most here do not trust or respect him for obvious reasons. This is yet a prime example of why Zetkin, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, wrote the memorandum in the first place. Fear. People feared that he would try to take adverse action against their employment by the power of council seat, as he was bitter towards the police department for being asked to leave. I trust this will be dealt with in the appropriate manner, and that Sergeant Keel and I will be spared any retaliatory repercussions from doing the job we were hired to perform, something I'm extremely concerned about. Respectfully, Chief Forrester. This was an email I was sent, and I found it in Chief Forrester's personnel file that I requested through a PIR, and this was sent to me through I got two emails from, one was called Honest Cop, and one was this other person. Now, I don't know who they are. I don't know why they reached out to me. Apparently, they don't feel like somebody's represented fairly in the city of Jersey Village. I don't know, and I'm going to provide everything that I can that was sent to me that was after the last city council. There was something from somebody named Honest Cop. I'm not sure who these people are. This appears to be somebody that is a police officer. I don't know that for a fact. That's my hunch. Now, I also got something that said, Mrs. Beasley, your information on the police department is incorrect. Chief Forrester
Time
had
is
been
up,
threatened
ma'am.
by
That's
police.
5 minutes. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
I will provide all this information and make sure that that everybody has a copy.
Sounds great. Next card I have is Michael Stembridge. Michael Stembridge, 15422 Jersey Drive. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to say happy Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and thank you all for being here on the holiday. And he was a great man. I was looking over some of his quotes, and it was fascinating. Sometimes a great thinker, great activist will say things that you wouldn't characterize that as them saying that, but he was a very deep thinker. I'm just coming, we've seen the elevations going up, and so I just came to say that, we would like a home elevation or possibly even a reconstruction, and I know that we did live in the floodway. I have looked at a map. I don't have the source with me, but I've looked at possibly a new map, and the floodway may be just beyond our garage. So we may actually be, the home
the edifice, the abode may be in the floodplain now. But then the yard is still in the floodway, and it used to be half of the house was in the floodway and the floodplain, so we were precluded from having a reconstruction. But we may be, that may make us eligible for reconstruction. I don't know the details on all that. But we saw the home elevations going up, and, we're happy for them. But we're just wondering if there's something the city could possibly do for us in the future with regard to home elevation or home reconstruction. And that's all. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Mike. Next card I have is Ron Dooley.
Good evening. Everyone hear me? This thing tall enough? Good evening, council members and mayor. My name is Ron Dooley, and for the last 8 years, I've been blessed to have been a police officer for the Jersey Village Police Department. Through these 8 years, I've been fortunate enough to have identified and arrested numerous burglars, robbers, and even a serial rapist. And as I enter into retirement this month, I had a moment to reflect on these cases, and I found myself feeling very grateful. I felt grateful to have served the fine citizens of Jersey Village, and more yet, I found myself grateful to have worked side by side with the fine men and women of the Jersey Village Police Department. I've been able to witness firsthand the dedicated and caring nature of our police officers, and I've been able to witness our officers standing in waist-deep water, saving flood victims as their own homes were devastated. I've been able to witness officers missing their child's soccer games and dance recitals just so they can finish an arrest report to make sure that the criminal does not go free. I've been able to witness officers committing amazing acts of professionalism, bravery, and dedication to the citizens of Jersey Village. For that, I would like to say thank you. I am humbled and thankful for the last 8 years, and I have been able to work with the citizens of Jersey Village and the wonderful officers of the Jersey Village Police Department. Thank you again for the opportunity to work for this fine department.
Thank you, Ron Dooley. Appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Susan Edwards.
I'm Susan Edwards. I live at 16001 Jersey Drive. And I just wanted to mention that it kind of seems like a coincidence, actually, that since we have, I'll wait till this is done. Since we opened up the dog park, our actual dog park, it seems like we have a new second dog park. Not one that's official, but it seems like Carol Fox Park has become a new dog park to many people. I see numerous dogs over in that park that are off leash. Now, I feel like most of the people that are bringing their dogs over there probably do have leashes for their dogs, but as soon as they get them inside the park, the dogs are off leash. I haven't myself observed, because I'm not usually inside the park, I haven't observed the dogs causing any problems, but like I said, I'm not inside the park, so I'm not I don't have firsthand witness of anything like that. I have at times been walking my own dog around the park and seen these dogs there, and I can see the dogs in the park running loose from where I live, which I just gave my address, and so it's right there at the corner of Senate and Jersey Drive. So I can see what's going on from my own yard. But there are a lot of dogs that are running around inside that park that are not on leash. And sometimes there are other people in the park, sometimes there aren't. But I wouldn't feel safe taking my own dog over there on a leash with another dog running around off leash. I don't know how other people feel about it. I don't know what can be done. I know we have signs up there, you know, saying that dogs must be on the leash. Maybe, and I hate to put more signs up, but maybe we could put signs right next to the nice signs that we have now put at the gates, you know, that please keep the gates closed. Maybe we could put signs right next to those, the same size, not bigger signs or anything, that dogs must be kept on leashes. I don't know if that would make a difference, but maybe. But I do appreciate everything that y'all are doing, and I do realize that this is a holiday for most city workers, and so I appreciate that y'all are all here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Bill Edwards.
Bill Edwards, 16001 Jersey Drive. I notice on your agenda number 3 that you are talking about an agreement about the Parks Master Plan. I would ask that the City Council require that citizens be part of that, not just approving the plan that's submitted to them, but actually part of the active plan forming. And basically, that's it. I'm a little tired of approving things instead of having input when they're made. That's all it is.
Thank you, Bill. All right. Going to move on to the city manager report. Does anybody on council have any questions for the city manager regarding the report?
I just wanted to note that the golf course, it seems like we're repeating ourselves about this, but the golf course had one of its best months. Keep in mind, this is December of this past year, but one of the best months ever. We're not talking about a city month. We're not talking about a summer month. We're talking about dead of winter, keeping in mind it's Houston, but I just wanted to note that it was very impressive.
Any other questions or comments? All right. Move to the consent agenda. Does anyone have any item on the consent agenda they would like to move to the regular agenda? Seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to the regular session. Item 1, consider resolution number 2020-05, receiving and approving the fiscal year 2019 annual report for the tax increment reinvestment zone number 2. Austin Blees, City Manager.
Mayor and councilors, this is the annual report we are required by state law to submit. The report highlights the things that were done in the TERS this year, highlights the money that we received, highlights the money that we spent, and gives you an overview of what the overall captured value is. Once again, the captured value for this year went down, as it went down last year as well. So we had no revenue, we had no expenses from the TERS, so the TERS board has been relatively inactive because there's been no money to work with. But this report is required by state, and we need council approval on this so we can send it to them.
Thank you. Any comments? Get ready. All right. I'm looking for a motion on this item.
Move to approve resolution 2020-05.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Item number 2, consider resolution number 2020-06, authorizing the city to apply for a grant from the Assistance to Fire Grant Program. Mark Bitts, Fire Chief.
Mayor and Council, this agenda item is for us to get approval to apply for the Assistance to Fire Grant Program through FEMA. We're going to be asking for $336,000 to replace all of our self-contained breathing apparatus, communication, mask, SCBA. Back in 2010, we did receive grant funding from them for $110,000. So we feel confident we can do this again. We are 3 standards behind. We're a 2007 standard, and now this is 2018 standard. So we feel confident we can do this. Just need authorization to be able to apply for the grant.
Thank you. Any questions from council?
I'll just note that it only calls for 5% local matching, so to me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if we can get FEMA to cover 95%, makes sense.
Our staff has done a really good job over the last few years of looking for, we don't need grants, but they're out there and they're for us to apply for. We get them, great. If not, we have the funds for it. So I just really appreciate that you guys are really going out there and finding these grants and applying for it. It really helps the taxpayer out. And, we have your back if not, but it's just nice to have. So any other questions or comments from council on this topic? Okay, seeing none, I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve resolution number 2020-06.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried. Item 3, consider resolution number 2020-07, authorizing the city manager to negotiate an agreement with Burdett Land Place to compose a new Parks Master Plan for the Jersey Village Parks and Recreation Department. Jason Alfaro, Director of Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. City Council allocated funds this fiscal year to complete a Parks Master Plan that will help guide the department for the next 8 to 10 years. This plan will be heavily driven by the community with many opportunities for community input. It'll also give us a roadmap of what the community is wanting in their Parks and Recreation system. The Parks Master Plan request for proposal was posted on the city website, emailed directly to 10 different firms, Friday, November 15th, 2019. 4 proposals were timely received, and a team of city staff consisting of City Manager Austin Blease, myself, Golf Manager Matt Jones, Recreation and Events Coordinator Josh Rodriguez, as well as Parks and Recreation Administrative Assistant Terry Brunskill, were assembled to review and rank the proposals. 3 of the 4 proposals were Texas-based, with one of them being out of state in Colorado. All of the firms had relative experience with master parks plans, including community development, conceptual plan rendering, and park and recreation planning and design. After careful review and discussions with the review team, Burdett Land Place was selected as the firm to negotiate terms for work related to the plan. Their experience working with cities of relative size, their understanding and approach of the city's needs, along with their team of in-house staff and consultants were the main positives that were discussed by the group. The average and median results, you have those rankings right there in front of you. You can see Burdett had 87.4 as far as the average points. City staff recommends that council authorize city manager to negotiate terms for a contract to have Burdett Land Place compose a Parks Master Plan for the City of Jersey Village Parks and Rec Department. This contract would come back to council for approval hopefully next month. Just recommended that council authorize the city manager to negotiate terms as outlined in the RFP with Burdett Land Place.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions from council?
Yes. Jason, first off, I totally agree with going with the company y'all went with. Their proposal is very well done, included photographs of our city, so they did some research in the city. To talk a little bit to the point of Mr. Edwards, very valuable comment. Can you speak a little bit about citizen involvement? Because I'm looking at this, it doesn't look like we're going to have necessarily a citizen committee like we did with the comprehensive plan, but we're definitely going to have a stakeholder meeting. They've talked about having a meeting with the citizens, stakeholders, and it looks like a very long process of developing the document. There's over 10 major steps, and that final approval would have multiple opportunities for comment. So could you confirm or expound on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, Mr. Burdett and Mr. Howard are here in the meeting tonight. But just to kind of expand on that, yes, we will have multiple opportunities for the public input. That's one of the things that we would be discussing with them during our negotiation of the contract, really, fine-tuning how many of these meetings that we would have and what that would actually look like. There's going to be a lot of surveys that are going to take place, a lot of town hall meetings, if you will, and the Recreation and Events Committee will have them heavily involved with this as well.
Yeah, I would echo that sentiment that I think that that however much citizen comment we could possibly get to make this plan very responsive to citizen needs, to allow people as much opportunity to be able to provide input in the formative stages of this plan, rather than just at the end, would be extremely valuable.
Yes, sir. This is definitely a community-driven plan.
Any other questions for Jason? All right. Looking for a motion on this agenda item?
I move to approve resolution number 2020-07.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 4, consider ordinance number 2020-02, adopting a 14-day work period for full-time law enforcement personnel, providing for a maximum work hour standard of 86 hours in a 14-day work period for such employees, providing a savings clause and providing an effective date. Interim Police Chief Kirk Riggs.
Mayor, Council, in your packet, I provided some information regarding this request. When I came here, that was one of the first things that they wanted to bring up. That beards and tattoos, I called it the trifecta. So we went with the 12-hour shifts to look at that, and I spoke with the city manager, and he also had heard the same thing, wanting to go to 12-hour shifts. A lot of positive things in there. I named 3. First of all, I do think there's some public safety there. You'll have more officers on the street, give us more high visibility, hope for reducing crime. One of the other things that it does very positively is recruiting and retention. Where I came from, before we went to 12-hour shifts, we lost several officers to other agencies because they had 12-hour shifts. Had some really nice resignation letters, and they said, Chief, I'd love to be here, but I need to be off with my kids. They play select sports or whatever. So what this will do, it's unique because there's not that many agencies down here in the Houston area, which I was surprised because predominantly up in the Metroplex are 12-hour shifts. So what this will do for the Jersey Police Department is reduce the, we've been losing some officers in the past. This will help, I believe, in retention. Also, you'll have every other weekend. If I'm a senior officer, I get every other weekend, but a junior officer coming in, he doesn't have to wait 10 years to get weekends. So there's some pluses to keep officers here. And then the other, that's pretty much I got. You got any questions for you guys? I'll be glad to answer.
May I make a comment?
No, you cannot. No, you.
It's on the, is this an agenda
It is an agenda item. And
Excuse me.
ma'am, you had 5 minutes. It was on the agenda, posted 72 hours in advance of the meeting.
Excuse me.
And this is
I
not the
believe
Mary
that
Lee
I get
Beasley
to
meeting.
make
This
a
is the city
comment.
council meeting,
I
ma'am.
wanted to say,
I
wanted to say I'm glad about the agenda item.
Can you please remove her from the premises? Thank you.
Because I wanted to say I think it's a great idea.
Okay, you just said it. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's a great idea. I worked in the hospital. I love the idea.
Is there anybody on council who has a question or a comment?
Yeah, I do.
Have an agenda item, somebody can speak up.
I do.
Yeah. Yes.
Chief Riggs, my concern here is your interim. You got at some point where there's going to be another chief coming in. My concern is that how the personnel that we have were polled on this or surveyed as far as getting complete input and making sure that we don't have a problem with people leaving because we go to this.
Yes, sir, and we had well over 80% that wanted this. Out of 25 that voted, we had 4 that were opposed to it. 2 actually are in CID, I believe, or 1 was in CID. So I don't see that will be an issue because this is something that they were wanting. When you have those numbers, I'd be really surprised that if it'd be something that would come back and they decide they wouldn't want to do this. Because you had a high majority of individuals that wanted this. Even though we're under 10,000 population per state law, you'd have to have at least 51% vote this in. Where I came from, we had over 80% voted in also. So, and they're loving it. If you go and do polls, the first thing you'll probably, when I left Farmers Branch, they just went to 12s, and the new chief coming in was from Irving at the time, and they were on 8s. They've gone to 12s since then. The first thing they said is, the chief going to take the 12s from us? I said, guys, I don't know. But that won't be a problem, I don't think, at all, Councilman. I think it's going to have a lot more benefits because you're going to have officers that can come here. One we just swore in today, he's going to get every other weekend off. Every other weekend off with his family. And I think that's critical in our profession, that we have family time. They work weird hours, they work holidays, and when you can give them this opportunity to have time off with family, you're going to have a better, well-rounded officer.
I'm happy we got that kind of a result on the survey, but I'm just hoping that we wouldn't be imposing some adverse condition on somebody that's needs the shifts work that they have now and might leave because of it.
And I had a lot of dialogue, prior to, we did a survey, first of all, and then I had a lot of FaceTime in the cars with the officers, because it is about moving somebody's cheese. I understand that. And me and Mr. Blease had conversations talking about, hey, how is this going to affect? And majority, like I said, it was a large majority that wanted this. Even the ones that at the time weren't in favor of it, my understanding now is they're in favor of it. So I think this is going to, when we go forward, if this gets passed, which I hope you do pass this, I think this will be a really good thing for the Jersey Village Police Department. If you don't pass this, they may not be real happy, but that's y'all's decision. You guys make the votes.
All right, thank you.
It's funny, scheduled tattoos and beards seem to be the thing right now. I'm not a big fan of the tattoos, but I'm good with the, personal. But beards and the schedule is so important. And I have worked this particular schedule before. I think most of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office works this schedule. It is a highly sought after job benefit, and I think this is an extremely positive move for the police department. This is going to make a lot of people over there much, much happier.
Any other comments?
Yeah, this is more of a technical question, but we're moving to basically a maximum 86-hour work week prior to overtime is what the ordinance mainly changes. What's the average 2 week, or I'm sorry, I said work week, I meant 2 weeks. What's the average hour they put in now over a 2 week period?
Without collecting that data, because I actually wanted that data for overtime, but because of the way overtime was calculated before I got here, I couldn't get that data. I don't have that information for you. I wish I did, to show you what, because I do know that we have to have officers stay over. Say I'm working deep nights, I said, hey, I need you to stay over 2, 3, 4 hours. And that also causes some issues. Somebody may be in town, a family member, and yet, guess what? You got to stay and pull the shift. So I don't have that information for you. I wish I did.
Any other questions or comments? I just want to say I think this is a great move. Time with family is extremely valuable, not just in the police profession, law enforcement profession, but it just seems to be a perk that I see across many industries. It basically doesn't cost the employer anything, and it's a great benefit for the employees' mental health, well-being, and of course it's a nice recruitment and retention tool. And so I like thinking outside the box in the city, and I think that's a great way to get started in this region. So with that, are there any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, looking for a motion.
Move to approve ordinance number 2020-02.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the ordinance. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Consider resolution, item number 5, consider resolution number 2020-08, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Collaborate Special Projects LLC for the construction of a new city hall. Austin Blease, city manager.
Austin, if you mind to talk for a second. I had some concerns before. I've talked those in session before. I think it's a little bit early with this project because Collaborate has not met some of the timeline that I would like them to meet. And there is a working group meeting, I think next week. And I know that we're going to have more concrete information from Collaborate next week. I would like to see this tabled to the next meeting, just to get more solid information from Collaborate. Because I would like to see, I know that there's already private entities, we are not the developer. We're selling this property off, and so we can't really release the people involved, and the people have already made commitments. And I have no doubt this project is going to be fantastic. It's going to sail on through. But before we commit more money and sign this contract, I would like to table it and get more information.
I'll admit, one of my concerns was the timing. Now, looking at the contract, there were some mechanisms in place to protect the city, to allow, we could basically, with 7 days written notice, get out of the contract at any time. As long as it doesn't pose any sort of serious problems in terms of timeline, knowing, of course, there's a lot of other lead work to be done before there's any construction, and knowing that we're not putting shovels in the dirt until there's other stuff over there already underway, as long as it doesn't affect any of that, I have no problem with, punting to another meeting.
I believe you had a motion to table. I'll second if that's what you need.
That's all I need, yep. I have a motion to table and I have a second. Any more discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to table passes. Item number 6, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the appointment process for the Comprehensive Plan Update Committee. Bobby Warren, City Council member.
The reason I asked for this agenda item to be placed here is because we have, under current ordinance, an obligation to appoint a comprehensive plan update committee to review our existing 2016 comprehensive plan no later than July of this year. Typically we don't put a lot of process into selecting committees other than receiving applications and reviewing those applications and then voting on them. I felt that the importance of this update committee and the central nature of the document that they will be updating really justified some additional discussion leading up to a potential appointment no later than July to determine how council wants to approach appointing individuals to this particular committee. I think that it does call for more than just a simple receiving applications, looking at them on paper, and then voting. 3 of the members have to be from our existing planning and zoning committee members. The remaining 4 regular members would come at large from citizens, and then there would be 3 alternates. I do think that we should look at doing something similar to how we handled the city council appointment last year, where we actually invite people to come and speak before council, have an opportunity to ask questions ahead of any vote. But I wanted to get input from the rest of council so that we could begin to discuss that and formulate a plan ahead of that process.
Any questions from Bobby?
I think an attempt to bring in a more diverse committee is a good step. I think as I've lived in Jersey Village, I was at one time the younger crowd. I have since, along with Gary, become part of the older crowd. So my outlook as an older citizen is not the same as it was when I was a younger citizen. And the comprehensive plan, the park plan, those aren't for me. Those are for the younger crowd, the people that are going to spend the next 25 years in Jersey Village. So I think a process by which we get a more diverse input is essential if we want a good plan. So I would agree with you in formulating a plan that does that.
I was on the Comprehensive Planning Commission when it first started, and it was a very diverse committee. And so I think we came up with a really good plan because of all the input from all these different mindsets, people who were new, people who had been here for a while, men, women, it was a very diverse group. And it was a great catapult for a lot of those people as well to get onto other boards and council and mayors and everything like that. I think that, the update committee has to have, it says 7 regular members and 3 alternate members, so a total of 10. 3 of them have to come from our current planning and zoning commission. So we have 3 basically taken there. So we're looking for 7 citizens to be on the update committee. My only concern is I've kind of spent a lot of time in my tenure recruiting people, like, hey, planning ideas and going to different groups in the city and trying to, get people to join different boards and get involved in the city. And it's worked pretty well, but my only concern is it's very difficult for some people to get up and speak in front of a big group of people. It's like the biggest fear of many people. So my only concern is I don't want this process to scare people into not wanting to apply simply because they don't want to stand in front of that microphone. So maybe if we do it in a smaller, less intimidating environment, in a conference room, or where it's just like a small interview, and no one has to get up on a soapbox and proclaim what they want to see and this and that. I think that would just be my concern, and I would hope that staff listening to this and I think I'm seeing a lot of heads nodding. Yes, but a lot of people don't like to get up and speak. Let's probably keep it. Definitely want to talk to people, see what they want for the city, and we can staff the board that way. But probably in a less intimidating environment would be my feedback. The comprehensive plan is also very involved with the citizens. There will be probably at least one, if not two, town halls for this sort of thing. So people who don't want to put the time forward to apply for the board, if you're listening or considering it, but maybe you don't have a lot of time on your hands, you can still give your input as a citizen. Those town halls, when we did the comprehensive plan, this place was packed, and people voted with little stickers on different amenities, and that's how we kind of figured out, hey, the citizens would really like this and that. So when do we start recruiting? When it starts meeting in July, or do we form the board in July?
I believe the appointments would probably happen in June for a July start. So we would be looking to probably start taking applications in April. We have some flexibility in that as well.
All right, great. So I feel like we kind of have an understanding that everyone is kind of on board with this style of application process, minus the huge auditorium. I think we really don't. Do we need a motion or anything to continue with that, or no? Okay. I think staff has kind of understood what we're looking for. Great.
Yeah, the only other thing I would just add before we finish that item is just, obviously we as council members, we always are out there reaching out to people that we think would be great for these sorts of positions. I would encourage all of us, and I've started to do this myself, to encourage, if you know someone that would be great for one of these positions, to encourage them to apply, as well as the public at large. If you know of anyone that would be great for this particular committee where they're updating our comprehensive plan, which is essentially kind of the honey-do list for city council. What would you like us to see, like for us to see us do in terms of development in the city and the way that the city grows and offers amenities and other things of that nature. If you know of anyone that would be good for that position, or if you yourself would be good for that role, then I would encourage you to apply.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're all kind of plugged into different organizations around the city, and we definitely need to, as council members, beat the streets as we did when we campaigned, and try to get people to apply for this board. It's a very important board. All right. If you have an agenda in your hand, we were going to go to mayor and council comments and then recess to executive session. But I think on this item, executive session, I think we're all in agreement that we can bypass executive session. We had executive session last month on this topic, and there were some minor changes. And I think that was, we all read our packet, it's those changes have been incorporated. So I'm going to move on to. We're going to not have the executive session and move all the way down to item L1. Consider resolution number 2020-09, authorizing the city manager to enter into a Chapter 380 economic development agreement with Gordon Northwest Village LP. Austin, please, city manager.
Mayor and councilors, we did have that executive session last month, and the council listed out a few things they wanted to see changed. Gordon Northwest Village was amenable to that, so those changes have been made, and it's for council approval tonight.
Any questions for Austin? All right.
The only question I have, when I read the Chapter 380, there's a Exhibit A at the bottom, and it may just be oversight on my part, but I didn't see any acknowledgement of Exhibit A in the main body of the agreement. Wouldn't that be necessary?
I believe what you might have seen is that the Exhibit A refers to Exhibit A to the resolution. So that Chapter 380 agreement is Exhibit A to the resolution.
So it doesn't need to be addressed in the body?
So the exhibit is not to the 380 agreement, the exhibit is to the agenda item, which the exhibit is the agreement.
So there also is an Exhibit A to the agreement, which further delineates the retail sales center, which is part of the definition on page 2 of the Chapter 380 agreement, but it is also part of the agreement. So the resolution has an Exhibit A, which is the whole agreement, which includes an Exhibit A of the agreement.
That was my only concern.
All good. Well, that concludes tonight's Who's on First.
Just an overall comment, Chapter 380 agreements, in case citizens are like, what the heck's a Chapter 380 agreement? It's an economic development tool that the city has used several times to attract employers, retailers to the city. And it's been a really integral part of what we've done over the last 2 or 3 years that has increased our sales tax base by record numbers. And that allows us to do great things like increase our property tax exemptions. It allows us to our crime control prevention district fund to grow and provide for officer salaries, which our fund is growing at a fantastic pace. It grew at a record pace last year. It provides for new police officer cruisers and bulletproof vests and weapons and training and all these fantastic things. So this is and just getting new retailers into the city has kind of been an objective for most of us on council for a pretty long time, for citizens for a really long time, getting new retail, new businesses into Jersey Village that are family friendly, and provide something for us to go do and see and shop. And I'm really happy that we've implemented these economic development tools, and I'm glad to see our city manager and our staff go out there and recruit our developers, our partners in the city, our business owners in the city to get better businesses in, and they're really latching on to our vision. I think people are seeing what Jersey Village is, where we are, what we want to be. Our location is fantastic, and we need to be as a city a partner in bringing those folks in. And so this is just another step. I hope to. Last time we did one of these, I said I hope to see more of these, and we are, and we're seeing another one here. We have a few of them that are working in the city as we speak and increasing our sales tax base every single year. So looking forward to implementing this and seeing what comes in. With that, I'm looking for a motion on resolution number 2020-09.
Move to approve resolution 2020-09.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the topic? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, that moves us into mayor and council comments. I'm going to start with Mr. Wildenhorst, our resident approver of agenda items.
I have no comments tonight.
Thank you that all that came and spoke.
No comments tonight.
I'll follow Greg's rule and just resist the urge to comment.
I'm going to comment on some good things that are happening in our city. We have elevations on several homes that have started this week. This is a fantastic thing that we have done in the city. We had the long-term flood mitigation project that was started after the tax day floods in 2016, and we've waited patiently for the process to unfold, and we're finally seeing some dirt moved. And it's just great to see families have their homes removed from the floodplain. That's a really great thing to see, and we have many more rounds coming up, and I want to thank all the people who commented today on their desire to see more. We have applied for, this round is 17. Next year we have 4, and then after that we applied for 31. So I think the flood study identified 60 or so that we're at risk of repeat flood danger, even after all of the things that are going to be implemented in the flood mitigation plan. So I'm really happy to see that. I've really seen a lot of fantastic activity in our police department. You've been very active lately. I read your reports every single week with bated breath, and the amount of crime that's being solved in the city as we see crime kind of around us pick up, unfortunately. I'm really happy to see that you guys are stepping it up and really understand what's at stake. I think one thing that'll really help us that we're also seeing this week is we are starting to see our gateway signs will be going in. So this is something that our comprehensive plan, our citizens place as a high priority, and we've budgeted for, and it's finally going to start. I think demolition of some of the signage that's already there, or old signage, current signage, will be starting this week. And we'll be able to inform citizens better for meetings, for events with digital marquee signs. But what I really like is that it'll help us identify our city a lot better. I think it'll help people know where the city ends and where it begins. And I think that actually helps in crime. I think our city, rightfully so, and thankful for our officers for this. We have a reputation for being tough on crime, and this is just not a place where you go to perform property crimes and other sorts of crimes of that nature. And so where this city begins, that we have our Jersey Village Police Department, where it starts, where it ends, I think that really helps, not just in branding and helping our businesses latch onto that brand and building a community identity, but it really helps with crime. So I'm really excited to see those things. All of these things are picking up. I kind of mentioned it, that this is really a year of execution after a lot of planning and budgeting, and we're really going to start seeing that. So, very, very stoked about what's going on.
Mayor, may I make a comment?
Of course.
I've been on council for over 14 years, and a myriad of meetings on various topics. But tonight really stands out. Tonight, I have seen the worst display of personal decorum, of self-awareness, and a total lack of respect for the process in place. And it's embarrassing. And I wish people are part of the process, but you have to do it in a way that's meaningful. But tonight was a poor example of all of what we put up with, and we sit here and we take in, we don't say a word. And the people that have acted inappropriate tonight ought to be embarrassed. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you for the support. I'm going to add on a happy note that we actually got an email from Austin about the Wall Street and Berm project, and there was a meeting with FEMA, and I mean, I don't have any official, hey, this is going to happen, but it's making solid progress, and we're giving information to FEMA, and not just the elevations are happening, but all of the other projects of flooding are moving forward on a very solid pace, and we're getting really good weekly updates on them.
Great. So thank you all for coming and watching this play out, and all your emails and your support. Keep them coming, and we'll see you next month. Meeting adjourned.